Okay, so I'll make it full screen. This is what we just discussed a while back. Okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and step 5. So I will begin, we will do the case study after some time when we have more head count. I'll wait till then. But now let's get into the other part of it, which is the models and methods of training evaluation. So in the 5 steps that we have, identifying the purpose of training. Second was the right models and methodologies that we need to adopt to do the training to evaluate the post-training or post-course outcomes. Third was the tools, right? So quantitative and qualitative tools. So we will see what different kinds of tools, like, if you see here, these are different instruments and tools which can be used alongside of the Kirkpatrick model or Dr. Philip model. But we'll discuss that. All right, so these are the integrated models along with the base, which is Kirkpatrick model that we are going to discuss, Dr. Jack Phillips model, CSIRO model, context, input, reaction, and output. Robert Brinkerhoff model, which focuses mainly on content, how your content was. Okay, so there could be around 85 questions minimum to find the efficacy of the content of your training program. So that's what Dr. Robert Brinkerhoff's model talks about. Okay, then Kaufman's model. This is with respect to the impact it creates to the society, to the client, and to the community. Okay, so it is a 5th level other than the 4 levels of Kirkpatrick model. Then the Anderson model. So here we talk about the stakeholder values. We talk about the shareholder. Okay, so shareholders also, will be taking your shares depending on how the company is performing. So Anderson model will also revolve around that. Success case study method, of course, we will touch upon this. Action research, appreciative inquiry approach, AEIOU, and systems thinking approach. So these are the different methods, approaches, and models, which goes alongside with the Kirkpatrick model to check the efficacy of any learning journey, whether it's a leadership journey or a one-day training program. Okay, so it can be applicable. You can put this all together to find the efficacy of it. All right, so you must have heard about Dr. Kirkpatrick. So the Kirkpatrick, So Dr. Kirkpatrick, he published book. Okay, he definitely had done a lot of research before he had actually published the book. In 1994, he was the former president of ATD as well. So initially it was ASTD. The name got changed to ATD, I think around 2-3 years back. 3rd edition of that book was also released in 2009. Now it's a very popular, widely accepted, widely followed model, and it's become an industry standard as well. So it talks about 4 levels. Okay, you see, this is a inverted pyramid. Okay, now this particular image depicts something. It talks about the value V. So that's why it's an inverted pyramid. Okay, so you see V. So this is also called the value chain model, or the V model. Okay, and the baseline of that V is reaction, and then the learning, behavior, as well as the results or impact. Now, what it does is, we will see in this particular diagram. Okay, it's very self-explanatory, but let me just take you through this. So if I just, want to understand the reaction phase, what it does. Okay, did the learner enjoy the training? Okay, and how will you find that? So we are talking about the different tools and instruments to use to find, to collect data that is a step 4 in that steps of training evaluation, right? To collect data using certain qualitative and quantitative tools. So tests, surveys, questionnaires, interviews, observations, FGDs, all this can be used at different levels to collect data or information. So reaction level is checking if the participants like the content, how the training program was, how the food was, how the facility was, how the overall satisfaction level was. So it is a basic superficial level of data, which will not give you solid information about how the actual training program was. But it will give you a superficial idea, okay, it's going on well. All right, so did you enjoy the program? So you can have questionnaires, you can have scorecards, you can have observation reports. Okay, anecdotal is nothing but the observation reports, non-judgmental ones, unbiased ones. So this you can understand through the reaction level. So reaction level, everybody does. Every organization is doing it, small, big, medium. Whatever programs they are running, you know, if it's a half-day program, if it's a 1-hour program, okay, even a 90-minute session like this, or even a 60-minute session, too, it can go to journeys, learning journeys, okay? So everybody is doing it. So reaction level, that's why you have the base, which is, you know, which is holding, a lot of companies are doing it, right? So that's why it's more. Now, as you see, it's just funneled down, okay? So it's just becoming lesser, it shows, right? So not many organizations are doing, again, the learning evaluation. So there's a decrease in the number, in the count. Okay. So what do we gather from this? Okay. Is there a knowledge gain? Is there a skill gain? Okay. So you can again have certain quizzes, you can have certain tests and all that. So it's up to you what you want to deploy to understand the learning has happened pre-training, what it was, and post-training, what it became. Okay. So you would be able to measure that. Okay. So that is a level 2, whether the training results in an increase in the knowledge, skills, and attitude. The third level, again, see, not many people are doing it. Okay. So it is becoming, it's not a cylinder, it's becoming a pyramid. Okay. So behavior, there is a change in behavior. Did behavior change after the training program or after the coaching or after any kind of therapeutic intervention, right? So how would you find that? You can have coaching, you can have self-guided learning, you can have behavioral scorecards to actually find, or observation. You know, observation points are very powerful. Unbiased observation points need to be collected. So people who are neutral in their approach, you must take inputs from them. Okay, so non-judgmental, unbiased observation reports, assessments, observations, interviews, questions, surveys, and tests. So of course, you know, you can see there's a change in the behavior by the inputs that you receive. And the fourth one is the result. Again, not many people are doing it, but to have, if you see this is a value we are talking about, it's a value chain we are talking about. Okay, so it must create a value, and we have to put all our resources, effort, time to ensure that a value chain is created. Okay, so did the training influence performance? Okay, so when we're talking about the return on investment, okay, first let us talk about the metrics. Okay, we cannot directly jump into the monetary benefits. Let us first talk about what matrices you have in place. Okay, as I mentioned at the very beginning, that you must have data captured at every point. Okay, for that you need system, you need manpower, you need time, you need to put effort. Okay, and you must have proper stakeholder management support. All right, so if you have all this in place, it takes time to put this system in place. But having said that, if given that you have this, the data capture at every point will become less cumbersome. And if you have the data, you can easily draw out a matrix or matrices, different types of matrices. All right, and these matrices tell you about the impact pre and post Okay, impact being created. So return on impact, return on investment, what is the gain, what is the value, you can all find out at level 4. Okay, now how do you do that? Is there an increase in production? Is there an increase in improvement in quality? Is there a decrease in the number of accidents or incidents at shop floor? Is there a improvement in the process flow? Is there a improvement in or reduction in time? Okay, so people are able to do work more efficiently, and they are doing it at a lesser time. Earlier, they used to take more time to do a particular job. Now, you can go with a shared services approach wherein you can give one person 2 responsibilities. Earlier, this person was able to handle only 1 responsibility. So with the functional skill enhancement, or say, behavioral skill development, okay, you are able to see that change in him or her or a team, and they're able to handle more responsibility. All right, so you are able to get a lot of work done by the team or the group. Okay, so these are certain results that you are observing. Okay, so management is noticing, client is noticing, there are less accidents, there are less errors. Okay, so these are all impacts. Okay, so this is what is happening in level 4. Now, if there is less number of errors in a particular product or a package, automatically what happens is there is a customer satisfaction. At the end, you check the end result, right? So the end result, you are seeing that more number of deliveries are happening because, the products are done without any error, without any defect. Okay, so there is a 0 defect achieved after the training. Okay, so 0 defect achieved, and with the 0 defect, your products, the production has increased, the supply chain has improved, people are getting the products, and customers are happy with 0 defect products and all that. So you see, automatically there is so much of, revenue or money which is increasing than before. Earlier defects were 10%, 15%. You had a loss of that much in terms of cash inflow. All right, so that is how you connect it to the ROI. But having said that, it is a very, detailed process. Nowhere we should lose out on any sort of data. Okay, so that's how the 5th level also can be achieved, which is the ROI, or the return on expectation, return on investment. All right, so this is Kirkpatrick model as well as the Philip model. Okay, so Philip model, we talk about the ROI. Yeah, Jaspreet, you have a question. Yes.
Ma'am, how we can measure it? Because the measuring part to show someone the results becomes difficult sometimes in some type of training. So if you have any aids for the same.
Yeah, as I said, 0 defect product. So you have given a training on, say, quality. Okay, so cost of low quality. So there are different trainings on that. So cost of poor quality. Okay, so people need to go through that, understand, you design the modules accordingly. A quality training has been delivered. You do certain, bring up certain real-time examples from the shop floor as to what are the most common defects that people are doing without even understanding what they're doing, right? So if you bring out, say, 3 months, 6 months historical data, and you would be able to then use those as examples in your training programs, all right, to stitch what went wrong to what could be the priority as a checklist for them to consider going forward, right? So now if you are, stitching all these things along with case studies, along with making them understand what is the cost of poor quality, what company is losing, how much cost it is incurred by the company, right? And how much loss is incurred by the company. So that realization, if you bring in, then, it becomes behaviorally also, it becomes an enriching program. Also, functionally, people learn what they need to do and take care of And, you see that, if there are certain other important points that need to be addressed, that also can be addressed. So you can also address by the SOP, standard operating procedures, right? So you can stitch with all different measures to ensure that your program is highly effective. Now you put them into on the job. So after you are putting them on the job, you see how they are performing. They have a checklist already, what they need to take care at the first instance, what they had been doing as an error before the training program. So that realization will help them to stay put on what they have to focus on, and then achieve the results in lesser time and with higher quality. So if that is happening, then automatically, as I said, the finished product which is going out from their hand or from the production unit is of greater quality. And if you have more number of less defect products to be rolled out, automatically your customer base has increased. You probably would be getting referential customers also. You will be getting back your old customers also. So all these things automatically will eventually take place over a period of time. So that's how you see that how you are gradually increasing your revenue stream, okay, revenue stream by this effort or by this program. But it's a matter of wait and watch. 3 months, 6 months after you have implemented on the job, you would be able to see these differences happening. But you have to take a note of all that. You have to have your engineers to go on the field, take customer inputs, as I said, use all these tools and instruments to collect data. So you have to design the questionnaires, you have to have certain templates ready beforehand. So this must be in place.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, ma'am, but I wanted to ask, like, I'm working in a manufacturing unit, and if I'm planning a communication training for executive level, so then how can I, show their results after the training, like after 3 months or 6?
So if it is, if you are part of a journey, you will be again meeting the learning folks, the HR folks, the business, the participants, if you are part of a journey. So journey is for about 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, 2 years, like that, right? So you are meeting the participants again and again, if not the same batch, different batches, but the organizers you would be meeting very often. So what organizers are doing, you can give consulting support. So it's not just a facilitator work, right? So during this time, between one session and another session, you give a consulting support, okay? And check how the learning function is deploying the people to the projects and what is the feedback they are receiving. Are people improving? And you yourself also as a trainer would be able to see the change in your next session. So these are observational points from your side, from the business side, from the training function side, if you are part of the journey. Now, if it's just a one-off case, that is one-off communication program that you are doing, say, this session particularly, if it's just a 90-minute session and I never meet you again, then you really cannot do. Then it will be just reaction level. Okay. But then if you are in touch with some of the participants, you can also get some inputs from the learning level if you are in touch with them. Okay. Learning level, how they have learned, what is the knowledge gain they had, are they able to, these are the questions, generic questions you need to ask them, right? Are you able to apply them at your workplace? Did you see some change in your project deliverable? Are you happy with what you are doing at work? So these are the certain questions as a coach, you need to ask to find out, but not in a very formal way, because it was just a one-off case and you are just in contact with 1 or 2 participants. So that way you can definitely find out. Okay. But if you want to go back and check the business metrics at a 4th level, it may not be possible because you are having an interaction at an individual level. Okay. You are not having an interaction at a business or a HR head level. Okay. After you have delivered a one-off case. But if you are part of the journey, definitely you can go to the 4th level and 5th level as well.
So we can design 360-degree survey for the same also?
Hello? Oh, yes. Why not?
Okay.
360-degree survey should not be applied for everybody and for everyone. 360 is on a case-to-case basis.
Okay.
Okay. It's not for anybody and everybody.
So what should I design to evaluate or to show the results of communication, like if I'm working in the same company? if I'm a part of journey?
Reaction level, you will have different questionnaires.
No.
Learning level, you will have different questionnaires.
This result I'm talking about, because it's becomes difficult sometimes to evaluate when we talk about soft skill training.
Soft skill training, see, any training except the technical training. Technical training, you give them a project. The project journey or the timeline starts, say, immediately. Okay. Now, it may also happen that there is a waiting period. But given that the project timeline starts immediately, as per the project plan, there is a waiting period of, say, 6 months, which is midway of a project. So during this 6 months, you would have collected through your different tools, okay, how the individuals are performing. You can collect it from the customer, you can collect it from the peers, you can collect it from the manager, you can collect it from the skip manager. You yourself can be an input as well, right? So that's how you collect information. Soft skills also, how behavior changes are happening. People were very, say for example, there were attendance issues, or there were issues with people not turning up for meetings, right? They always used to kind of, come late. So you would have designed certain interventions. Again, I would say that training is not the solution for any problem, for any and all problems. You have policy changes, you have one-on-one meetings, you have, skip level manager discussions. So there are so many things which work alongside training, coaching, consulting, mentoring to bring out an overall holistic change of any individual or team or function, right? So it's a multi approach, all right, apart from the training. So in order that you want to check how your communication program was, and at the 4th level, you will actually have to see if take input from the customer, from manager, that how people are communicating with their peers, with their clients. Are there, so again, what is the need analysis you have done beforehand, right? Now, if you say communication program, communication is vast. It can include interpersonal skill, it can include listening skills, it can include English grammar usage, it can include lots of stuff. So let's not be very generic here. Okay, now if I take an example of English grammar as a topic, that the factory workers, they are not very strong in that, how they are forming sentences or constructing the sentences and all. Now you have given a English communication course, English language skills communication course, say for 6 months or something, and you are able to now see before what it was. They never knew what is preposition. People, they never knew what is a preposition. They never knew what is a common noun, how to use a common noun, how to use an adverb in a sentence, right? After the training, everything is at their fingertips. They're able to form a sentence which is with, I'm just bringing up examples. For a past tense, they're able to use it rightly, or a future tense, they're able to use it rightly in your sentence. So if you're able to see these changes before and after, right, these are the measures. And you get a customer satisfaction report in level 4, that they're able to speak well with the customers. Customers are happy. They're able to make very less errors or no errors in their emails to them. Previously, they were not confident of even writing a mail to the customer. Previously, each mail used to have many, many errors. It used to put off the customers. So these are the measures. These are the impact matrices. So it depends on what is your need.
Just to add to what you've been sharing, how about those people who are not in the customer facing roles? The stakeholders are pretty internal, and that's diverse across departments. So in that case, seeking feedback from all the people in the system who they interact with, does that make sense?
You need to have open discussions, formal, informal discussions with the stakeholders. Okay.
Okay, and also
All
the
right.
ones who
The
are
stakeholder, one of the
assessing.
stakeholders is the customer. Internal stakeholders are also there. So you need to take inputs, observation inputs from the stakeholders. See, if you have analytics in place, then analytics will also give you a lot of inputs.
Companies can share these KPIs, like if you talk about customer has come back or not. So it's called ACR reports and all. It's easily available. So if manager, if you first, even as a trainer, I feel that you also have to identify certain metrics in numeric ways that which can also be one of the benchmarks. So out of 5, I might not get all 5, but maybe those 3 can also depict it well. So ACR, if it says it's more than 60%,
Absolutely,
return,
absolutely.
so that's a pretty good. That is some improvement.
Absolutely. It's like, how do you rate the competency level? So you also, in many companies, we have this gradation of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 3, right? So, so exactly like that, okay? You set certain standards, quality standards, right? Where, 0 defect is the ultimate goal, aim, right? So what is acceptable limit? So that also you state, right? What is unacceptable limit? If people are operating from an unacceptable limit, that's a danger sign. So you need to move from unacceptable to acceptable to ideal.
Ma'am, certain
Right? So these are the metrics you have to define.
Certain metrics are very common across all industries. So if it is service, definitely they might have a different term for it. Like if you say ticket size, I think as a trainer, 4, 5 metrics is something which we should also
Absolutely,
take a note of
absolutely.
it. Before I started the training, it was this, and now after the training. So got to take little interest in numbers. It's very interesting. Actually, numbers are a very good thing. People, if they get a habit of getting into, you actually get the real picture that how things are working. So there are 4, 5, which is common. All you go to any industry, they have it different lingo, but it's the same. So that just a one-time homework is something which a new trainer has to do, and then it'll be easy.
True, true, true. So if you go to a call center, or if you are at a customer support, okay, and if there are pertinent trainings given to the call center employees, number of calls increased or not, the quality of the calls increased or not, right? So these are the matrices. Or if you go to a customer or technical support, the tickets, how fast they're able to solve, are customers happy with the solutions provided? So these are the matrices. So it depends on the need, it depends on the function, it depends on what training you have imparted. Depending on all of this, you need to design your, customize your questionnaire.
So for this, I have one question. Like, can we evaluate the topic like Ikigai as well, or some kind of these topic like passion for results and anything, or Ikigai
your voice is breaking.
mainly?
Your voice is breaking.
Yeah, now is it audible? Hello?
Yeah, now is it audible, you asked. So what is the question?
Yes, so the question is, so can we evaluate the topic like Ikigai as well? Like if we are giving them the training is on
Ikigai is finding
topic.
Purpose of life, right?
Yes, yes.
Finding purpose of life. So what are the 4 important learnings? Okay, who has asked this question? Muskan?
Muskan.
Was it Muskan?
Yes, Muskan.
Okay, so Muskan, what are the 4 important points you draw from Ikigai, that book Ikigai?
First of all, long live life, because of the the pattern, the way of life we are, the pattern of living, it results into the long and the happy life. And the purpose, we should evaluate the purpose of life. Like everyone is having the purpose, which encourage people to live a long and happy life. So these are some.
Okay. So, okay, now if I go back and tell you, if you have the book in front of you, the last page of that book, it will give you a summary, a gist of what the book contains. Okay. So do you have the book? Can you please read it out for us?
Yeah.
The last page, 4 points, very simple points. Very simple points.
The last.
The book cover, basically.
The book cover,
Turn
this
the
one.
The book cover, the last page, the book cover.
I had read it long back, but the crux which I understood was that if you have a moxie or you have, a goal, I mean, you tend to live longer, and I mean, it's always a.
It's beyond that. It's beyond that, Muskan. It's beyond that. So that's why I'm asking you to draw those 4 points, which is there in that book. It's not there immediately with me right now, but I remember it's very nicely mentioned. The 4 important points which will change your life.
Passion, mission, vocation, and profession. These are the 4 areas it is covering, in which passion and mission comes under what you love. Mission and vocation comes under what the world needs.
Exactly. I'm talking about this. What you love, what the world needs. The third one.
Hello.
What you are good at.
What you love, what the world needs, and what you are good at, and what you can get paid off.
Exactly. I'm talking about these 4 important points. So joining these 4 dots, you need to have a lot of open discussion, coaching conversations, okay, crucial conversations with your coachee or mentee or whoever on the other side is, to find out where they are in this particular stage. 4 stages are there, right?
Yes.
So where they are, have they found out what they love? Have they found out what they like to do? Have they found out what the world needs? Have they found out what they have identified? Is it going to pay back to them in some form or the other? So you have to ask all of that, and then you will get the responses accordingly, right? And you can use your coaching discussions to, move them from one level to second to third to fourth. But this is how you can find out the metrics. You can understand where people are currently, and then you can draw a journey to move them from one level to another, right? So you can definitely do it, but you have to work around those 4 objectives.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Okay, any other queries? Let's move on otherwise. Okay, I believe there are no queries. Now let's move on. Now this is a case study. This is one case example. There are many, but this is about EI Design. Okay, so EI Design is a company. It is a Brandon Hall Group Smart Choice Platinum level preferred provider. So they had implemented an e-learning solution for a company, and they give a gist of how did they do the measure at all of these 5 levels. Okay, it's a very crisp note, but you can explore in their website probably. You will get plenty of other examples, but I've just given a snapshot here. All right, so if you see here, sorry. Why this got 1 minute? I'm not able to. 1 minute. Some annotation why it got enabled. Okay, so now it's better off. Okay. Okay, so anyways, I'm not able to see the screen itself. So let me just recollect what I remember. Okay, so if you see here, what they have mentioned is, I mean, it's readable. How did they go about in measuring the efficacy of the e-learning solution that they implemented at one organization? Okay, so using the Kirkpatrick level 4 evaluation data and Phillips ROI calculation, we can convert the results into the monetary benefits. Okay, so let's see how did they go about this. So investment is nothing but the cost. Okay, return on investment is nothing but the accrued gain or the value. Okay, accrued gain over a period of time or the value over a period of time it generated, all right, over the cost. Okay. Now, level 1 was reaction. So reaction is measured by taking feedback from the learners. That's what they have done. We have used online surveys in the past, but now we add features of, do you like the course? Okay, would you recommend this course to somebody? Okay, options within our e-learning course framework. How did they go about with level 2? Learning can be easily measured through scoring patterns. So scores at the end of the course assessment. Level 3, behavioral changes are certainly more difficult to assess. We use a combination of techniques to assess how much of the newly acquired learning is being applied on the job. This could be measured through improvements in efficiency or doing the same task with a new approach. All right, so change is the only thing which is constant, as we know. So behavioral changes are measured this way. Now, business impact.
But how did they measure it?
After that, let me finish this. After that, we will discuss. Business impact is generally measured through productivity gain. So these are the matrices that we spoke about, right? So what is a productivity gain with the e-learning solution being implemented? Impact on quality measures through reduction in rework, getting higher number of work assets first time right, and so on. Right? So these were the different impact measures. And how about the return on investment? So ROI is normally calculated by providing the business impact gains to the monetary value. So again, what was the revenue before and what is the revenue now? With less rework, with higher quality of product, doing it right the first time, yeah. Good delivery points, good supply chain in place. So what is the revenue? So that itself is a delta change in terms of the revenue differences that you see. So that is level 5. Okay. So, so that's how they were doing the efficacy check of the e-learning solution. All right. So yes, Namrata.
No, ma'am, actually, I'm reading this level 1 reaction. This ROI, the pyramid marking. So ROI should actually be the level, last level, no, 5th level. Then we calculate it. So it should be inverted, this pyramid. I'm talking about the marking and the pyramid. So like level 1, level 2, level 5, but level 5 should be the last level, right?
Remember, the base level is the reaction level. Now numbering is
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Numbering, there is no importance of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's just the base level is the reaction level.
Right.
And
so
the pyramid
only the taking feedback. So it's going invert nahi karna because niche pyramid is like this and the points written are the inverted ones as per that.
But levels are mentioned correctly, Namrata, but levels are mentioned correctly.
The levels are correct, but I'm talking about the pyramid part.
Dotted line, right? You were saying
so reaction has to be the feedbacks,
okay,
and
so
the
that's
ROI comes in the wo thoda uske wajah se I was just trying to
yeah, so level 1 is the reaction level. Okay, so the dotted lines don't go by that.
Because that's why I was just thinking कि reaction में आगे ROI की क्यों बात हो रही है? It has to be like, then I realized कि वो थोड़ा inverted होना चाहिए था. So okay.
Okay. Okay, now let's see one more example. This is about World Bank. This is World Bank finding the efficacy of their training programs. Most of their training programs are designed about on the sustainability goals. Okay, there are, I think, 14 or 17 sustainability goals. So here we are talking about poverty and improvement in terms of the food intake, less poverty, and so on. So training programs around that. So how do we measure the impact of the training program? So let's see what they have done.
Around the world, governments and development organizations are running programs to make lives
Are you able to hear the audio? I mean, the video?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Better, to improve learning and skills, to provide clean water, health and nutrition. But how do we know?
Sorry.
Around the world, governments and development organizations are running programs to make lives better, to improve learning and skills, to provide clean water, and to promote health and nutrition. But how do we know if these programs are working? To get the answer, we have to do an impact evaluation. Okay, what about doing a simple before and after comparison? So, these people enrolled in a training program. Nobody had a job before, and everyone got a job afterwards. But maybe it was because the economy improved, and there were simply more jobs available. Nothing to do with our program. Right. So what if we compare people who enrolled in the program with people who didn't? Yet if someone was motivated to enroll, then they're probably more motivated to get a job under any circumstances. So success is because of individual differences, not our program. We need to know what would have happened to the same group of people if they hadn't received the program. Well, that's possible if we could clone people, which we can't. So we need to do something called randomization. Okay, back to our training program. 1,000 people wanted to enroll, but there are only 500 places. So we pick names from a hat. Because we used randomization to assign people to each group, they'll be statistically similar. On average, similar levels of education, similar levels of motivation, and so on. These people get the training program, but these people don't. If the job outcomes here are better than those here, we can reliably attribute that to the program. Using a randomized impact evaluation, we know how effective our program is and can make good, cost-effective decisions about future programs to reduce extreme poverty and build shared prosperity.
So what did you learn from this? What is the learning takeaway from this video?
It's like we are evaluating a training program
Okay.
in a platform. Like, okay, we are evaluating a training program with the comparison of the one who haven't taken the program, so that we can compare our training program and actually
Ma'am, one
is
more
it
thing was there
working or
in this,
not.
that external factors must be excluded, which may contribute.
1
to the
minute,
result.
1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. So let Muskan finish. After that, you can add, please. Yeah, Muskan, please finish what you were saying.
Yeah, this was my point only, ma'am. Okay, we should compare, the comparison should be there so that we can evaluate them fully.
Wonderful. So the impact analysis, one way is a set of people who underwent the training, see how they are performing vis-a-vis a set of programs who were not part of the training and how they are performing with respect to getting a job or otherwise, right? So, okay, one. Then Shipra, you wanted to say something. Yes.
I was only saying one point, that it must be in the controlled environment so that external factors can be excluded to see the real impact of it. That is it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very good point. Very
And
good point.
this randomization, what they spoke about. So sometimes it's not
Correct.
possible to really count or do the quantitative terms. So that way they're like randomly picking, and then they're sharing how much this group did and how much, the success rate of one group versus another.
Correct. Very nice. Okay, so this is how they do the impact evaluation of each of their training programs. They run hundreds of training programs per day all across the world, right? So they need to do an impact analysis on regular basis. So that's how they are doing it. Okay.
Ma'am, I've got a doubt.
Who is this? Vikrant, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yeah, there's a lot of noise. We can hear you, but there's a lot of noise.
Okay.
Yeah.
ma'am, like to have an impact analysis, do we need to carry out the statistical analysis of a sample being picked from a population and then giving them the training and then comparing them with a sample which have not been given training? So how does the trainer actually do it on the ground, ma'am? How do I create two different samples?
Sorry, how do you create samples? What is your question?
Ma'am, my question is, here they're showing two samples actually. Two sample populations, ma'am.
Correct. So if your
So
sample is a small number, you can definitely do it. But if your sample is a huge number,
randomization means like if I set it to a business setting, I pick up. Do I need to pick up people from the, say, any of the departments, functional departments, and do I need to identify them before that these are the set of the people I gave training to, and these are the people I didn't give training to? So does that is it required for the impact analysis in any of the settings?
so if in your training programs, you had people representing different functions, okay, then of course you will see, because it has to create impact for each function, right? So in that case, you must pick up people representing each function as your control group, another group who did not go through the training program, but again representing different functions. All right. So you should have a apple-to-apple comparison. So apple-to-apple means people representing one set, people representing different functions, another set, people representing different functions. One went through the program, another did not go through the program. Now you give them some challenges and you see how they are performing.
And ma'am, like whenever we do this, we need
and
to
if you
involve
see
the
left-hand side, which went through the training program, sorry, let me finish. So if my left hand is talking about that set, which has gone through the training program, and you have, my right hand talks about another set which did not go through the training program. If your set 1 is doing well on the challenge rather than set 2, then automatically the effectiveness of the training program shows up. Yeah. So now, yeah, Vikrant, you are saying something.
So ma'am, like whenever we do training and where we want to show the impact in terms of ROI or in impact in terms of the behavioral changes or the improvement for the organization, we always do this impact analysis. Is it part of the training? Like the earlier you said, if it is a long-term training, then it is a must, because we are going continuation. We are continuing the training with that firm. And in just one case where we get just one communication training and we don't interact with the company later on. So in the long-term perspective, this analysis is more important.
Okay, so it's like, let me ask you this question back. I mean, let me put the question back to you, Vikrant. Okay, you have a pizza in hand. One is just the base, okay? And you have another pizza in hand, which is full of toppings and a lot of flavors which you like, right? Okay, so which one you will take?
Ma'am, I'll prefer the one which has got more variance to it, so that I can experience more things.
Correct. So now the question you had is, should I always do this? But if you do it, it's good. That's the answer.
Okay, ma'am. But that depends on which context I'm working in, like the time available, the resources available, so all those.
I told already that you must have at the beginning. Remember, you must have time. You must have resources, the systems, right? The people supporting. So all those things should be worked out first before you go ahead with your plan.
Okay.
Ma'am, if it's relevant, I don't know how I understood. Now, this company Shopper Stop, now they have this baby kangaroo program for those sales level people who are not really, postgraduates and all. It's a chance for them to grow. So because they are not really line managers.
Vikrant, can I request you to mute your audio? There's a lot of noise. Yeah, thank you.
So,
yeah, Namrata.
So if I can take this as an example. So if, for example, now the new training has started for these baby kangaroos so that they can clear the assessments. They're like 7-step assessment to become the next department manager. So there is one group which now this is the first time we are starting with the training for this baby kangaroo. The other, we can pretend ki earlier they never got this. So then if I am giving them training, so can I really take this also kind of average that on an average all these years, only this percentage of baby kangaroos had cleared the assessment. And now when I have this group of people, the success rate was this kind of percentage, So maybe the industry average, maybe in the last 6 months, 1 year, the industry average versus this group impact average, probably. So out of 10, how many really got into and cleared the assessment? Something like that. एक benchmark.
Okay, so industry average benchmark you can always keep, that is a target. But internally, you must create a controlled and uncontrolled group. Because within your ecosystem, things are different. Okay, so you must have a group which is going through the training, another group which is not going through the training. And
but
then you
all
can
this
check
time, there were no groups they were going
but
through.
You can always keep a benchmark external. Sorry?
So, like I said, that till date, the company never gave training to this group of people, for example. So now I have their success rate used to be this. And now this new group, we are like, maybe I'll take 6 months, probably 6 months, I will see how many groups have been clearing the assessment. Probably I can do that. But like I said, my example was that the training session for this kind of group is newly started, right? So maybe 2 years data, I can down the line, I can compare that data with this, maybe this periodic data, right?
The market is very dynamic, and retail industry, it's changing like anything. The buyer, consumers, preferences, everything change overnight. All right. So 2 years is a very historical data. You cannot really rely on that. 2 years back, have you ever imagined COVID will come?
No, ma'am, I meant
we never
this one.
The dynamics changed. Okay, so 2 years for a retail industry, semiconductor industry, some industries, we have to be very specific and, think through. Things are very dynamic over there. It changes very fast. Consumer behaviors, for example, it changes very fast. We are talking about localization, globalization. Tomorrow, if the market further opens up, you will have a lot of influx of outside stuff here, and then the internal localized vendors or suppliers or manufacturers will also gear up and change the products. So things will overnight change. Okay, you never know.
I meant because this thing happens only once a year. So that's why I said that 2 year wala thing, because her month to nahi hota, like, so only 2 times of data milega mere ko, because ek hi baar year mein hota hai.
To some extent, you can rely on historical data.
Like what I mean, the
to some extent.
relevant data, which I can
not
see.
Not too old data.
The new relevant, but some months add hone chahiye, so that I know average acha ho.
Absolutely. And see, one more thing, Namrata, this is a one program that you are talking, which you are running once a year. I'm sure there would be a lot of other, different programs that you run for the same group or mix of groups, right? So if you go back at an individual level, see, one is a function level, organization level, team level, individual level, right? So individually, you must have data points being captured. For this program, this was the performance. For that program, this is the performance of this individual. So individual data must be robust.
Right.
Or the number of trainings that he or she has attended. So that way you would be able to differentiate how it was for him or her 6 months back to now. And that can be your historical data, which is not so old.
Right. Got it, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, and that can be your internal benchmark, while you can always rely on external benchmark, that is the industry benchmark.
Yes.
All right. So let's move on. Okay, so what's the time? 3 o'clock. Okay, let's see this. Okay, fine. Okay, now, so again, how do you plan a program thinking this in mind, that you have to achieve a good score at a reaction level, a good score at a learning level, a good score at a behavioral level, a good score in the result or the metrics level. Okay, so thinking that, so you are doing a working back. Okay, so thinking that you have to achieve good score in each of these levels, how do you now plan a leadership program? And in this example, in this particular slide, what you see is a sales leadership program. Okay. So now this could be a annual program also. Okay. Or it could be a once in 2 years, but once in 2 years is a very rare. Annual program would be better. So if you plan an annual program like this, which is a high value product, okay. Now the metrics, the ROI must be done for high value product, which means there's a lakhs of investment in the program, okay. And you must ensure that there is a return on expectation, high return on expectation, or high value is created out of this high value program. Okay, so ideally, level 4 and level 5 must be done for high investment programs. All right. So now thinking that you must have a good score for each of these levels, how do you approach now planning the leadership program? Okay. The first thing you must do is what matrices you should consider in order that your return on the value is high. Okay, what matrices? So first you quickly write down, people should be able to get higher, so increase the number of customers, get back the old customers, increase the number of clients, reduce the number of months, which is that, initially 6 months you get this many clients. Now you say that 3 months you need to get that many number of clients. Okay, so customer satisfaction index, right? CSI. So all of that you decide, this is what I need to achieve in terms of the high score. Okay, these are the business needs. In other words, these are my business needs. Okay, once you have clearly outlined this, okay, then you go down in the pyramid. Okay, now what are the skills people must have to achieve more numbers or achieve more value? So when I say value means revenue, achieve more numbers means in terms of getting back old customers, getting back the irritated customers, getting back the customers who once left because of whatever XYZ issues, acquisition of new customers in very less time, okay, conversion of the customers. So what my sales people will need in terms of change of behavior, in terms of change of knowledge or addition of knowledge, in terms of additional skills, competencies. So identify them. You can do competency mapping. You can check competency dictionary. You can do benchmarking study of the industry, right? Relevant to your industry domain. And then quickly bring down all of this, right? So once you have done that, you quickly find out who would be your trainers, who would be your coaches, who would be your internal subject matter experts, what program flow it should be like, okay, so that when at the reaction level, you are collecting information about how the program flow was. Did you like the teaching method of the facilitator? Did you like the venue? So you then do all of this administrative tasks, okay? So the levels 3, 4, and 5, it is a lot of tactical and strategic, all right? So competencies, competency mapping, checking competency dictionary, doing the benchmarking, finding out the behaviors required to achieve my matrices, okay? Which you have already initially jotted down what I need as part of business need, right? So having this in a very organized and structured way, you would be able to achieve a better scoring in terms of the reaction, the learning, the behavior, as well as the delta change in the impact. All right. Any questions here?
Margaret here. I have a very silly question, I would say. When you say competency mapping, does it
a little louder, please?
Yeah, sorry.
Yes,
so I was at, yeah, my question is, when you mention about competency mapping, does it mean that you categorize your participants based on their competence, or does it mean something else? I'm not sure of that.
So competency mapping, competency dictionary, competence management is a huge topic. Okay, I would suggest you kind of get a first-hand information by doing a self-reading, or maybe you can, talk to some of your peers and get some information, because it's a huge topic. I have to start with what is a competence. I have to give examples. It will take another class minimum, and that's not part of our scope.
Okay. No problem.
All right. Okay, I would highly recommend that. Okay, any other questions pertaining to this?
Ma'am, what you shown that this two triangles, so it really clearly shows that to achieve all this, we need to really focus on the learner analysis. The more we know about our learners, the more we can achieve this model.
First is learner analysis. Uske pehle, we should understand what is a business need.
Yes, ma'am.
Learner analysis uske baad aayega.
Yes.
Abhi nahi. First, you understand what is the need, and uske baad, who are the learners?
Yes.
And what are their styles? Doing a learner analysis. Doing also the different teaching styles that could help the learners. So, bahut sara, matlab, all these things will fall in place thereby. But first, the business need, identifying the matrices you want to achieve. For achieving those matrices, what are the different competencies your people need to gear up with? Where are they in those competencies or skills or knowledge? What kind of interventions you will have to bring in to move each one of them? They are at different level. People's learning are at different pace. Yes, all of them don't learn at the same pace.
This is only, no?
Right. So people are different. So you will actually have to strategize there. What kind of skills they need to acquire, additional skills they need to adhere, or which ones they have to upskill, which ones they have to reskill. That we did, I think, in one of the previous sessions. Reskilling, upskilling, cross-skilling. What all are the requirements? Then you have to devise all of that. Right? Business need is the first thing. Uske baad aayega baki sab. Okay, I hope I clarified, Jaspreet.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So, any other doubts? Otherwise, I'll move on. Okay. So, this is the value chain which we spoke about. Okay. I'm not doing the case study today because I think I will break the flow. I don't intend to break the flow. In the next session, by 10 o'clock, if all of you are joining in, it would be really great, and we can have the case study then. All right, so I don't want to break the flow, and let's continue with this. Okay, now this is the value chain which we were discussing a while back. Okay, and according to ROI Institute, which is by Patricia Phillip and Dr. Jack Phillip, okay, what they have observed over several years, studying several companies, all right? What they have seen is people do all of this, and very less percentage are actually doing the ROI as well as the impact, but it is doable. That's what they say on the left-hand side. The first one, they say it's easy, collecting the inputs, it's easy. So you must have system, resources, time, money, all those things in places, stakeholder support. So this is easy, always can be measured. Also what they say, reaction level, it is easy, always can be measured. Learning, not difficult, but it's not impossible also. Usually measured, okay. Application, it is possible, often measured, okay. Impact, not so difficult to connect. So you have to connect different dots, right? You must have a systems approach. So this is another approach in finding the learning efficacy, that you go with not a silo system, but you have a good interconnect between multiple systems, okay, which will pull and push data, information, and give you a holistic report at the end of the day, right? So when multiple systems are working together, it's a systems approach. But anyway, we'll discuss more in details later on. So that's what they say. Keep, impact, it is sometimes measured by some companies, but it is not difficult. ROI, possible, but it's not impossible. It's possible, but rarely measured. Why? Because data is missing. Money investment is not there, because you have to invest on system, analytics, tools, okay, a lot with automation, a lot with people upskilling them, how to use the systems, tools. It is also about the stakeholder support. So a lot of these missing points are there, and therefore this is not considered, all right, in many organizations. But this is a value chain. If in case done, there are companies which are going to Brandon Hall. They're getting awards, year after year, multiple times, multiple awards. Why? Because they're able to focus on this value chain and achieve this value chain. All right. So EI design was one such. Okay. I think in 2021, they had won 5 Brandon Hall awards for different categories. Right. Likewise, there are many organizations like that. Landmark Group also, I remember, Siemens also had received. So there are many such companies. So they focus on the value chain very seriously. Okay. And they're able to achieve, the impact. So now these are the reasons why the 5th level is not being done by many organizations. Okay. So we'll quickly see what are the reasons. Evaluation is a threat to my job. Maybe sometimes what happens is, due to the lack of time, we just rush through things, right? The function, people working in the function, there are so many overlapping tasks. What happens is they're not able to focus or concentrate on one program and do it excellent. There are multiple programs running. So you are trying to kind of mix and match and trying to, do something. Are chalo ho gaya. Abhi itna sara karna hai. This is a compliance checklist. We have done 10 programs this month. That's an achievement. But kaise hua? Matlab, how did it go? What people learned? Have they applied? Is there any change in the metrics you have seen? So it requires a focused approach, okay, for each program, right? So evaluation is a threat to my job. Senior management will evaluate, and therefore, it becomes a threat to my job. That's the reason I don't involve myself in the evaluation process. Job insecurity of members who fail to perform. So that also could be a problem. That's the reason I don't want to evaluate the people, the program, and so on and so forth. The job security issue can come into picture. No one really cares about evaluating training. So other stakeholders are not asking about it, and therefore, why should I do it? Okay, so if you want to have influence in your what you are doing at your organization, to create that influence, I think, it's very, very essential that it's an open book. What we are doing really excellent. This is what speaks, right? So you can have reports, you can have data anytime. Anybody asks you, you say, this is what we are bringing as value to you, right? So you can create a great influence within the organization, even if others don't care about it, right? So no one really cares about it, so I'm not doing. Time consuming, yes, it is. More resource utilization, yes. Need robust connectivity between systems and tools to generate accurate data. Yes. If senior executives are not asking for ROI, there is no need. Negative ROI will kill my program. ROI is complicated, includes too many formula and a lot of data record keeping. Yes. ROI is not possible for behavioral programs. It is possible, but there is a wait and watch. There is a closer observation. There is more in terms of frequency of data collection than any other ordinary programs, right? So this is the reason. These are the reasons why companies, they are not focusing much on the 5th level.
Ma'am, I had a question on the previous slide.
Yes. Who is this? Kavita.
Kavita here, ma'am.
Okay.
So we're talking about systems and tools. So like I see this as a chicken and egg situation. We are saying that we got to invest in systems and tools so that we can quantify the ROI and the business impact. But again, for some organizations who are pretty naive to this idea, so for them it's like an investment. Again, it's an expenditure where the whole idea will be to initially to promote the manual data gathering and tracking as much as possible instead of investing on any like the AI analytics part you're talking about, the systems or the tools. So how usually do we go about? I mean, is it possible for someone to manually still go ahead and achieve something?
Manually, it will be humongous task. People are prone to err is human. You have heard about this, right?
Yeah.
So if you have systems and tools, it will be unbiased. There will be lesser errors. So even if manually you are doing, there is no guarantee that the matrices that you have generated, they are correct or they are accurate. Okay, so there are manual errors. There is a maybe you can explore in one of the sessions, if there is time, I will cover. But there is a beautiful case study on Emphasis, IT company. They were doing all of this as a manual work. Okay. And when they started implementing systems and tools to find the efficacy of programs, analytics of different programs, how people are consuming content, when they are consuming content, which content is moving fast, etc., they found that they actually went with that approach, that these are the matrices I want to focus on to understand the efficacy of the implementation of this HRIS, right? Human Resource Information System.
Yes.
They initially did not have, it was all manual. Okay. There were people working, there was a lot of data input, data was wrong. Somebody is making spelling in one person's name, another person is not able to find out why the person's name is not existing in the system. So many such type of simple to complex and dangerous errors. Okay. So now when they had actually brought in this HRIS, they saw huge change. Errors reduced. The operations are faster, right? So that's the reason, when you go to the management, you must bring take some case studies with you. Okay, before what it was and after how they have improved. Some compelling stories. Okay, so if you have some compelling stories, then it will be much easier for your management to have a buy-in. Okay, and start with small. So a lot of companies, they actually, even I have worked in some companies where we started with developing the products in-house. So the performance management system, okay, performance management system, we did not go with SuccessFactors or SAP or the big ones like that, right? We had our in-house team built a complete end-to-end performance management system, CMS also integrated and HRIS also integrated. So it was a huge task, but in-house it was done and less cost. And I was the person and my boss, we conceptualized, seeded the entire idea and given inputs. And that's how our concepts were fed in as inputs to develop that system, the entire robust system, right? And then once Schneider took over, then they had their own global systems in place. But that system was beautifully for 2.5 years. So you must see at a lower investment, which is in-house and start, okay, or you can get some contractors to do this project, but your data inputs, the conceptualization phases in a particular project, SDLC phases, it should be really good. Otherwise, the entire project will have a lot of issues, when somebody is trying as an end user to use that tool or system, right?
Yeah, ma'am.
So, for the types, you must have quite a lot of test runs before you actually kind of make it live, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
for the coming year, ma'am, we are working on a program called as managerial effectiveness. on a large scale. So trying and covering close to 400, 450 people. And I'm just working around the infrastructure part of, what is really required. Like you mentioned, we also have an in-house developed HRMS system for the PMS, and we've successfully run 2 cycles. We have some IDP inputs flowing, the systems approach that you spoke about. So that has really acted as the inputs for this managerial training program that we're working on. So now the management feels that, we must go in for some sort of an LMS to be able to track this system. So I was just wondering, would that be enough if we can just go scout for a good LMS which can serve this purpose of having being an effective system to capture data? Should that work? Is that what I should look
Absolutely.
for when I'm going to purchase?
Absolutely. Why not? So if the in-house HRMS system can integrate well, or can be integrated with an external LMS system, or you can have an in-house design of the LMS also. So whichever, I mean, it should integrate with your master data, right? Your master data, it should integrate with.
Okay. So
Otherwise,
having an
managing
LMS,
5 different
having
systems,
a
it's a
standalone LMS will also
task.
help serve this purpose.
Standalone SMS. See, after all, we are working towards management of the performance, right? So whether you are wanting to have an integrated one or a standalone one, ultimately you need to integrate somehow with your PMS.
Yeah, but the current PMS that we have is only for a qualitative analysis, and there's nothing quantitative about it. We have identified some 6 major behaviors that would lead to the business results, at a large scale, large picture. So we're just evaluating on those 6 behaviors. So that's where we ask people, what is it that you want to learn? So maybe the first step I'm looking at is to validate if that's just an individual need out of a fancy which is coming up, or is it really a business need which has to be validated by the business heads? So that's the only link that I could see here, and there's nothing much where I can go back and say, okay, after training, has the performance improved? There's no means for me to do that. At the max, I can map just the behavioral changes. Like on this behavior,
you can have,
somebody
to start with, you can have a standalone one.
Yeah, so that's where I was looking at, if integration makes sense or to go for an independent, because I'm really keen at having the system to go up to our the level 5 and to be able to quantify everything at least a year's time later on.
Absolutely. But I think start small. Okay, if you can develop it in-house, well and good. Otherwise, there are a lot of LMS, good LMS. Also, there are this, we call it a sandbox.
Okay.
Sandbox model, which means that you have everything in that model. So you just pick and choose and build your own LMS, do it yourself kind of model. Okay, so you have the entire platter. The entire platter is feature rich, okay, which is called a sandbox concept. And you pick the features which you currently need and build your LMS. And it can evolve further because you already have a sandbox in place. You can further bring down the features and evolve your LMS system over a period of time, depending on the business needs. Okay, so you can do more research on that, find out which ones are the good ones.
Okay.
And you can build your own LMS. If you have a resource, you can create your own LMS.
Okay, so resource is definitely a challenge, but yeah, the budget is approved for buying an LMS, and more than that, on this managerial program, that's a huge investment for the whole year. It's close to 20 lakhs. So I really am concerned about, the backwards as to how are we going to know that if it's a successful program or not. So I'm just working on these matrices.
So it should be a feature rich. Again, see the different matrices you want to achieve. Okay. Are you getting all that on your LMS platform? It should be an LXP. If you want to integrate with, collaborators like Zoom or MS Teams, or you can have offline webinars also can be uploaded. Okay, offline, it will not be integrated, but it can be uploaded. So you can separately have a download of your file, and then you can upload on your local LMS, right? So you can create a LXP also. You can also have a knowledge management system. You can have a repository also. There are a lot of LMS which can help you to integrate with LinkedIn Learning or YouTube videos. So you can download, keep. So it becomes a repository of some sorts, right?
Okay, ma'am,
And
I
you
feel
can-
that it's much more easier when it's all online training. You know, when it comes to offline classroom sessions which go unrecorded, plus when it's more of an it's more of an OD intervention rather than just a training program, wherein we are going to interact with the managers and stitch some certain sort of programs, as well as we are going to have interactions with the team members, and work with them. So there is a lot of data. How do we really transfer that to LMS platform?
Correct. So there should be something called, we call it as ESS, Employee Self-Service. And also there is a manager self-service. Also there is a HR self-service. So the ownership lies with the employee to update once they have attended offline face-to-face training program. Okay, they can update on their personal dashboard, which gets reflected in the admin interface, right?
Okay.
If they have not done, now it is you to monitor whether the manager has updated that. If not, manager is traveling, then you need to update. Okay, so that's how it can be. So ESS, MSS, and so on. So you can integrate all of that in your system. So that's how you can, even the reports, even the scores, everything can be uploaded.
Okay, it's a lot of work and time required.
Yeah, a lot of work. All the best.
Okay,
Thank you. So I think
ma'am, I also have a small one, please. I got all the points except the first two. I didn't get the relevance part of it. Like, evaluation is a threat to my job. What is employees thinking that, or the trainers thinking that that if I don't get
trainers, in-house training function people.
So first 2 points are for the trainers. Okay, because if it's a part of the KRA, then why do they question?
Exactly. It's part of their KRA.
That's why I didn't get the point. Wow, why? Because of this, they are not doing it. Nobody's questioning them. Is it really like happening? Like,
correct. So it's a threat of my job. If I've not done well, I will be evaluated, right? So that's how. So in-house trainers or in-house training function employees. Okay. All right. So now let's quickly see some examples, and with this we will wrap up today's session. Okay, these are some examples of hard business measures. Okay, we are talking about the 4th level. Okay, so let's see some of the examples of hard business measures. Okay, soft business measures we'll talk about that as well. So these are the hard business measures, tangibles. Okay, productivity increase, sales increase. This is the metrics. Employee turnover decreased. Employee retention increased. Customer satisfaction increased. Okay. Customer complaints reduced. These are the measures. Non-compliance reduced. Accidents reduced. Wastage reduced. Number of absenteeism days per month reduced. Handling complex Excel projects improved. Number of cancelled training days decreased. Recruitment cost reduced and ratio improved. User experience of a platform, that emphasis platform I was mentioning, right? There could be different other platforms as well. So user experience of a platform significantly improved. Business HR's manual effort in report generation reduced. So if you have this emphasis as an example, even the report generation becomes so easy because the data was fed in properly, and you can just, at the click of a button, you can generate reports. Automation improved, resource utilization, and so on and so forth. Okay, so these are some examples of the 4th level business measures. Now, these are the soft business measures. Increased morale, reduced stress, reduced anxiety, increased satisfaction, customer satisfaction, stakeholder satisfaction, improved the peace of mind, change in the attitude. So this could be various examples of soft business measures. All right. Any questions here? Otherwise, I will wrap up today.
So in the hard business matrix also now, we are having this customer satisfaction and in the soft measures as well.
Yeah. So customer satisfaction the requirement may be different, right? It could be a soft measure requirement for a customer. It could be a hard business measure requirement for a customer. So it depends on the customer requirement.
So can
So if
we
the
have
customer is,
examples?
right, if the customer wants less complaint to happen, I mean, they don't want so many complaints to be sent and all that. They want a peace of mind. They want the job to be done end of the day with full satisfaction and full quality. So that becomes a hard business measure. Now, soft business measure could be people, say, I'll tell you an example. Okay. I was working for a manufacturing firm, and they had their product manufacturing unit in US. They were doing the customization of certain products in India basis on certain geographical changes requirements. For example, solar products, so the solar panel, for example, solar panel, how the impact of a solar panel would be in the seashore would be different from a hilly region, would be different from a plain land. Okay, so depending on that, the panel manufacturing would be slightly, there is a variation. Okay, so the products used to be, most of the products used to be shipped from US. Some localization work used to be done here. We used to have Apex channel partners. We used to have means state level channel partners, right? Apex means state level channel partners. You have local channel partners, you have state level channel partners, right? So the product used to move from the warehouse to the locality channel partners. Okay. There were always some supply chain issues between the local channel partners, locality channel partners, your own region channel partners to the Apex state, say Karnataka state, Bangalore regional, Karnataka state, Apex state. Okay, so there used to be always issues for the same product reaching to the Apex distributor or the channel partner, and then from there going to the customer. All right. So in the process, either there were some damages or there were some people not being available, people not having that moral to do it because multiple changes of hands, right? From a city level to the Apex level to the customer. So multiple people in between. People's moral also at some locations were down. So they never used to pick up the things on time. They never used to deliver products on time. So people were unhappy about the overall people behavior. Okay. And the company was, getting all this, bad images because of, people's moral not being happy, company not taking care of the people and so on and so forth. But actually it was different. Okay. People were happy. Employees were actually sending on time, but it was the channel partners. So we had several meetings. We had several trainings with the channel partners and all that. And finally it got resolved. Right. So these issues come. So this is a soft business measure because of people moral not working on the positive side. Delivery is getting impacted. Customer is getting impacted, right? Customer is getting products which are not of standard. In between, cracked things are also being delivered in the customer's place, right? So a lot of this politics also in between used to happen, right? So these are the soft business measures. So customer satisfaction is different there. Okay, I hope I clarified.
Yes, got it.
Ma'am, why it's not intangible? Why tangible? Like,
okay, there is a mistake here, typo error.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
Both the things I think it's mentioned as tangibles. Okay.
All intangibles. Okay.
Okay. All right. So we will wrap up today, and we'll meet up in the next session. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thanks, ma'am.
Thank you.